podcast. This is our first episode, and honestly, it's kind of shocking that we were able to get someone this special as our first episode. Andrew Perrie, welcome,
Thanks,
man. It's such a pleasure.
I appreciate that. I didn't know I was your first guest.
I think I kind of hesitated telling you that.
Wow. No, that's really good. This is a cool launch.
You're gonna, yeah, it's a special one for us.
416
That's why
Coffee.
we a little word from our sponsor here, Chris at 416 Coffee Co. That's why we wanted to get Andrew the best coffee in town.
Yeah.
Andrew, how's the coffee?
It's amazing.
Is it good?
Yeah. And you know what? I'll tell you, we've got like a $30,000 espresso machine in our office. Wow. Yeah, my partner is like one of those like finer things kind of guy.
Well, it's
but
just a name, fine
this,
tasting.
exactly.
Yeah.
But this, oh man, this is delicious.
Just give a little background.
Yeah.
Just tell people who you are.
All right. So my name's Andrew Perrie. I've been in the real estate game as an agent. This is my fifth year. I came out of the sales industry.
So you were in sales
from
before.
from an American company called LA Fitness. Shout out to them and all my old workmates and superiors. They literally, honestly, I can't. If anybody's looking to get into the real estate game and they're taking their courses and it can take you a year now, right, through Humber, I suggest teaming up with a Good Life or an LA Fitness. And, they really teach you how to prospect. They really teach you how to nurture. And they really teach you the importance of, we were talking off air about, competition. And not just with other people, but with yourself. And that's a huge, huge advantage. So
Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole point is, there's this saying, right? It's what gets measured gets improved. How can you win a game, a hockey game or a football game, without knowing the score? I know growing up, my coaches always said, play like it's 0-0 in overtime. That's how you should always play. And you know what? Scratch that. Let's just pretend he never said that. How would you know if you won the game? There has to be some type of measurable result or a goal.
So you can improve.
Exactly.
Constant refinement.
Exactly.
Something we preach a lot.
Yeah.
But never heard it put that way.
So
really well put.
Goal tracking, right? So if you have a goal, okay, so in your business, you said you had a really good month. What is a goal for you in terms of either revenue or take in from the business? Like 5K a month, 10K a month?
6K a month is my goal standard now. But I think that kind of improves.
Yes.
Like it wasn't,
Correct.
trust me, it was not my goal 2 months ago to make 6K a month.
Yeah.
Right? But last month, I was like, wow, I can really do this. So
Exactly.
This month, I think that's a more measurable goal. But I never really thought about it that way. You saying measuring your goal allows you to improve.
Exactly. And think about if you are, overweight and you want to lose weight. How do you know how far you need to go if you hadn't stepped on the scale to measure it? So I know.
You don't know how much you weigh.
Exactly. I want to lose 50 pounds. Okay, great. Well, you need to measure those pounds in order to know. Now, that's a very, slim down, pardon the pun, example, right? But the whole thing is that if you have a goal to make 6K a month, now, how many people, in order to achieve that, do you need to sell? From there, how many people does it take to make contact in order to book an appointment in order to make that sale? Okay, so how many phone calls, how many touches does it take to even make contact? So what I always tell my team is that take your goal or your measurable result and walk it back based on your previous goal tracking activities. So what I mean by that is if you made 100 calls last week, that led to 20 people answering their phone. That's a 20% conversion. Now, of those 20 people, only 10 people booked an appointment with you. That's a 50% conversion on how many people you spoke to. Now, once you get those people in front of you, you should be closing at 70 to 80%. Right. So if you get those 10 appointments, you should be closing 7 to 8 people.
And let me interrupt you there. How do you you talk about measuring your goals, and I think a lot of people might, let's say 50% of people know that.
Yeah.
But only 10% maybe know how to properly measure their goals.
Correct.
How do you give us a little
I like
rundown
that.
of your team?
Yes.
Maybe how do you track that? Like, and then another thing is maybe some people are listening to this concerned. They have a team of their own or they have a business
Yep.
and they're concerned. They don't want to go to their team member and say, well, you didn't produce well this month.
Yes.
You're a great leader, so give us a little bit of like that rundown there.
Yeah. So let me digress a little bit for those who are just tuning in. I run a real estate team called the Fine Estates team. We have 5 agents and 2 admin. And to further that, I also run with my partner Evan and Jesse McDonald the Niagara on the Lake brokerage office for Revel Realty. And we have about 17 agents now under us. So altogether, we have a sales team of around 20 people. And if we're talking about, as a good leader, how do we motivate people to keep on track of their goals? So what we use is a CRM. You know what a CRM is? Client,
customer.
Yeah, relationship management program. So, if for anybody who doesn't know what it is, have you ever had to type in your information when you're going to look at shoes or something?
Right.
Or maybe they've asked you to put in your birthday, and then on your birthday, hey, here's a coupon for Payless shoes. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. Now, in the real estate business, we use it as a more relationship-based tool, not necessarily a transaction.
Right.
So the tools that come with that piece of software is you track how many calls you've made, how many appointments that led to, how many conversions, follow-ups, buyer presentations, listing presentations, and we use that in a team setting once a week to understand what the struggles from the week before were. So, as a good leader, at LA Fitness, this is kind of why I left. And there's nothing wrong with that style, but it was more of like, okay, that was great, but what have you done for me lately? And that I do say that to my team. I do. There's still that, wolf inside me that wants to make sure that everybody's on at all times.
Right.
However, you got to understand in the real estate game, although those team members are on your team as a member, they're still their own entrepreneur. They're still their own sole proprietorship, right? So they still are in control of their own business. And you know what? I think I love it that way because you do have to handle things a little bit more delicately.
Yes, that's true.
It's not like you're working for a company that says, if you don't do this, you're fired.
Yeah.
Right? So, and plus, as a team, you get to know people, and that's just not how you motivate people.
Yeah. And
you want to
build
lead
relationships
people.
and friendships with the majority of people you work with. So
Exactly. Yeah.
motivating them. Actually, finish with this thought.
Yep.
Follow up to that.
So where I was going with that was that, we don't know how to fix the issues. So if your goal is to hit your July targets, okay, what was your July targets? Well, I want to hit $10,000 a month in commission. Okay, so why didn't you hit that last month? What was your biggest obstacle? So that's how those sales meetings go. It's not like, okay, guys, you didn't hit your targets, do better next time. It's why didn't you hit your targets? What was the biggest obstacle? What's 1, 2, 3 strategies that we can use to help overcome that obstacle? And then let's get you that measurable result. So it's all about finding where you went wrong and finding a solution, as opposed to pointing it out, not offering a solution and just saying do better next time.
Right. So that very, very well said. Now that can I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here.
Please,
So,
I love it. I love it.
I want to really, this is the way that people learn, listening. So
I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
I agree.
So people do you find that when you talk about it, you say sales meeting, right? That's how that's how at Revel, that's how it kind of looks, or at least in your office.
Yes.
Right? How do people feel comfortable, or is it part of your job to make them feel comfortable to talk about why they didn't hit this? And is a tactic you use to get them to talk about it with the group so you become more close and more comfortable with each other? Yeah. Is that something that you do to make people feel more comfortable and motivated in that working environment, that wolf mentality?
Absolutely. Because I don't want to, like, I know it's 2020, 21, but
go ahead. Yep.
But my team is made up of, I've got Josh, and then I've got Brandy, Paige, Crystal, and so we're fairly female heavy. Right. And so the women on my team, they see things a lot differently than the way Josh does.
Naturally.
Right?
You
Because
need that.
Josh is very numbers, whatever it takes, get it done. Where the females on my team are like, okay, these guys, these leads, these clients are more, they need to be nurtured and they need more finesse, more relationships to be built. So when I have my sales meeting, I try to keep those things in mind.
Right.
And it's not just a male-female thing, it's a personality thing. If we had a larger group with a larger variety of different people, then I'm sure the stats would probably reflect that as well. So what I try to do is make sure that in order to run a successful sales meeting, we actually call it a team meeting, but to run a successful team meeting and have everybody be open and truthful about their goals, is that we need to all understand that we're in this as a team for one collective goal. So, and that's your success, whatever that means to you. So each one of them, we also have a one-on-one accountability meeting after or before the meeting, depending on
You and
each one of the team members, right? So the team meeting is all based on, okay, guys, we have a collective goal. This is what we need to hit. If we didn't hit it, why didn't we? And then in our personal accountability one-on-one meetings, it's more of, okay, now let's break down your specific goal. And is there anything that maybe you're not telling me that we want to talk about in private? Right? So, because not everybody's going to be like, okay, well, you know what, Andrew, my dog died last week and I didn't have any time to make my calls or my follow-ups. Some people are just, an example like that, they might not necessarily want everybody to know. Maybe they'll start, get emotional about it in front of the team.
Right.
Where, on our team, they could absolutely do that, but some people don't, right?
Yeah.
And in my sales meeting, you can laugh, you can cry, you can bitch me out, you can tell me that I'm doing a shitty job. There's another saying is that you praise in public and punish in private. Right? So,
I've heard that before.
Exactly.
Dive into that a little bit.
So I'll be honest with you. The punishing I do is just a little bit of hit of reality, right? So in real estate, what I said to you before, we're all entrepreneurs. We all are in control of our own business.
Right.
So those sales meetings, you give me a goal. My job is to help you achieve those goals. And one of those ways is, kind of a slap in the face of reality, right? You got to say, look, you said you wanted to hit $150,000 this year. So far, you've hit $80,000. This is just an example. You've hit $80,000. I would say that you're on track to hit your goals. But last month, you goose egged. You didn't sell anything. So why? What was the one reason why you weren't converting last month? Oh, well, you know what? There wasn't enough homes on the market in my client's price range. Okay, so there's a great obstacle. Nothing on the market. What's one strategy that we can use to get that done? Door knock. Run an ad campaign. Reach out to all your own personal database that are in the price range of your clients. So that's how those conversations go. And honestly, my team is so comfortable with each other now that they're all motivated to bring up what has affected them, because they all know that if their leader doesn't have an answer, which 9 times out of 10 I do, it might not be the right answer 9 times out of 10, but I've got some type of solution.
At least you can admit that.
But they know that if it's not me, somebody in the team is going to be like, hey, have you tried this? So I know that was a very, very long answer to your question, but to answer it more directly, how do you motivate people to, speak up in a team meeting? It's just that it's all communication. Everybody has to be on the same page, that we all have the same goals in mind, and we need to work together as a team to accomplish it.
Yeah.
Listen,
Andrew, a long answer is necessary for that. Something that is so deep. You dived right into it, gave us a full overview of how to do that. Any team leaders out there, anybody striving to be like that, definitely take a listen. One thing that you brought up is communication. Now, I think there's 2 avenues in communication. There's communicating with your team, especially if you're like a boss or a boss, like a team leader. And communicating with your clients or your customers or potential investors or, people who can be potentially clients of yours, right? Communicating with them, networking. We talked a little bit about that off air, but not too much. So that way I would get to hear a little bit more from you. Networking. Just give us, what is your definition of networking? And then how would you utilize that in building a client base? Let's say from zero.
Yeah.
Go back to when you were nothing in real estate.
So, which was 5 years ago, because I grew up
Only
in
5 years ago.
because I grew up in Barrie and in Innisfil. So when I moved to Niagara on the Lake, I didn't know anybody.
Right.
Didn't know anybody. Didn't have a sphere of influence here. Like all my friends, they all live in Innisfil Barrie. So networking and video marketing was the one way that I knew I had to implement basically right from the get-go. So I had it all kind of structured out before we actually got my license. But from the networking respect, my business now, so in real estate, the average realtor might have 2 to 3 agent-agent referrals. So agent-agent referrals means that, let's say somebody in North Bay, another realtor, says, oh, they've got a client who just showed up at their open house. They want to buy that house, but they have a house in Niagara on the Lake or Niagara Falls to sell.
Right, okay.
And so typically they'll be like, who is the best in Niagara? And
Interesting. So they can approach them and then say, can you help me sell this house?
So the realtor passes the client off to the other realtor, and there's a payment involved. So I pay the realtor 25% of the total deal in order for them to give me their client. So how you actually get to that level is word of mouth, other agents, or by your actual success. People are attracted to those who are loudest on social media in terms of how they treat their clients, how successful they are.
Confidence.
Right?
That has a lot to do with it.
Exactly, but also value as well. So where this is coming from a networking perspective, I'll get into it in a second, but I just want to explain how difficult it is for an agent to have a very, very high agent-to-agent referral business, because the referring agents they want somebody who's knowledgeable, who's been in the business usually a while. Yeah. They don't necessarily want to send their clients to somebody in real estate in their first year. Yeah. Right? But in my first year, I did 40% of my business agent-to-agent referrals.
Explain.
And I used that through marketing. And now, 4 full years, 5 years in the business, I'm at 85% agent-to-agent referrals.
So all the business you do is 85% agent-to-agent?
Yes. So all my deals virtually come from another agent's client. So how did I get there?
Yeah,
how did I get there?
That's pretty impressive.
So when I first started in real estate, and we kind of talked about this off air, a lot of realtors did not, and they still don't, know how to utilize social media for their business.
And you did?
It was more of a guessing game. Of a guessing game. So I was always like the go-to guy in Barrie if you needed to get on the guest list for a bar. I was always the go-to guy in the fitness industry if you needed a gym membership.
So you had that dillying dallying experience.
Yeah, and it's more of it's networking, but it's also relationship building is what I talk. What I like to talk about. Yep. So this is how exactly I started in this specific case. So in real estate, on Facebook, there's this real estate group called Real Estate Hacks. So I joined it. At the time, I think there was maybe 8,000 people on this group.
Right.
Maybe. And one of the things I did is I learned how to use Photoshop. And
really?
And it was, I did all my own video editing at the time. It wasn't very good, but I did it. Yeah. And so I popped on. It was just around December, so real estate market wasn't totally busy. This was in my first year. And I said, hey guys, I just learned how to use Photoshop. So if you want, send me your headshot. I'll cut out the background and I'll plump it on a blurred out kitchen, blurred out cottage, whatever. And I'll put your logo and your brokerage's logo and I'll send it to you so you have a free social media card.
Wait, you did that as a real estate agent?
Yes. So barely knew how to work Canva and Photoshop. I used Photoshop to remove the background because Canva didn't have that option at the time.
Right.
And then I added it to Canva because it's just much easier to use.
Yeah.
And then I sent it to them. And I made a post in the group. I was expecting yeah, hey, Andrew, thanks. That's really nice of you. 4 or 5 people. I had 500 responses. So I got 500, and this is going to lead into how I grew my Instagram too. So I had 500 names and emails. So I had everybody email me their headshot, email me their logos.
And that's key. That's key.
Very
they
key.
Emailed it to you.
Yes.
Not direct message on
Correct.
Facebook. but that they emailed it to you.
Right. So in my first year on Facebook, I had 1,200 friends on real estate,
Right.
in real estate. By the end of this whole thing, I had maxed out at 5,000. Easy. What? And now, every day for the last 4 years, every day on the birthday, every day I check the birthdays, and if I don't speak to them, I remove them. Because I've got like hundreds and hundreds of friend requests still coming in.
Right.
Anyway, so I got those 500 names and emails. I would have spent 3 days working on all of this. So
wait, the biggest thing, like, sorry to cut you off, but like that you were a real estate agent doing this.
Yes.
That's like something like, I run a videography company. That's like something I would do.
Right.
But the fact that you did that,
Yeah.
I actually find that very interesting.
Right.
That you went out of your way to value those relationships.
Yes.
Was that your goal? That was your goal in doing that?
Yeah. I honestly, I was just seeing the way the group was interacting with each other. And I'm like, hey, who needs a buyer presentation? We've got a sample. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this is a real collaborative effort between all the agents. And this is a global group now. And I'm like, okay, so how can and I was noticing I was posting, hey guys, like it was, and it was, now that I look back, because I'm seeing other people do it now, people your age. Yeah. And I'm like, where the hell does this guy get off telling me how to do that? Right. But at first I'm like, hey, I got this. At first, video marketing in real estate was basically non-existent. And,
Really?
a lot of graphic design and different things that was other than just sold, just purchased lame stuff. Right.
Basic.
So I figured, I'm like, look, I've got some time to kill. I just learned this. I was getting a good response on my other value-added posts, like, hey guys, try to hold down this app on your iPhone and you can scan it on your notes.
Yeah.
Everybody loved it. So I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to get a good engagement. I didn't know I was going to get those 500 emails. So I took those 500 emails, added them to my database, personally reached out to every single one when I sent them the Facebook Instagram card, and I just said, hey, thank you so much for allowing me to do this for you. Here's your Facebook and Instagram card. And they're like, oh, Andrew, this is amazing, thank you so much. I'm like, yeah, but just if you ever have somebody come into the Niagara region, make sure you think of me.
And that stuck.
That was it. And it
That
stuck. And then I became the moderator and admin. Not the admin, sorry, Jill Price is the admin, but that I became the moderator. The owner of the group saw that I was offering all this value, asked me to be, basically, you call it a moderator, admin, or whatever, of the group. And now we have 22,000.
Wow.
And anytime, and this is a place where people go and put, hey, I've got a client moving to St. Catharines, Stony Creek, Niagara on the Lake, who's the best? I'll have 100 tags. Andrew Perrie, Andrew Perrie, Andrew Perrie, Andrew Perrie, Andrew Perrie.
All because of what you did.
Correct.
To build those and mold those relationships back 5 years ago.
Exactly. Now people that aren't even in the group are hearing about me because they're posting in the Royal LePage personal group. And I'm not with Royal LePage. Or they're posting in their Remax personal group. Does anybody know anybody in Niagara? And they were like, I do. He's not with Remax or Royal LePage, but here's Andrew Perrie. And I'll still get messages. And I'll still get random calls from people that I don't even know.
So you said off air, and I found this super interesting. I think you brought it up, but let's cut back to it. Is that you said you don't consider Remax or Royal or all these other brands your competition?
No.
And I was kind of thinking, like, well, why? That's like me not considering another videography company competition. But you explaining how most of your business comes from agent to agent now makes sense that you rely on those relationships with Royal and Remax to know that they know that you're out there. You're one of the top guys here that can help sell a home, and they'll trust you even though you're with Revel. Exactly.
Although there are a couple local guys I would like to leapfrog. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
but
there's competition out there.
And I'm sure they'd say the same about me. If they're watching, they know exactly who they are. But no, you're absolutely right. So not only from the agent-to-agent referral aspect, is it a good idea to maintain those relationships, but just to be a good person. I've changed my life when I got into business by myself.
Right.
And all growing up, my friends, my parents. All my friends' parents were like, you got to go to university, you got to go become a teacher, or this, that, get a job in the trades, and, just retire at 65. And, I'm like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess. And then now and this is no offense to anybody watching if this is what they're doing, but I'm like, what a life is that? like what? Like that's what I thought. And then, so I did that for 10 years. And then I was like, this is not a life.
You wanted more.
This is not a life. Exactly.
Is it that you didn't want a bar? You felt
that,
like there was maybe a bar in your career before?
No, here's the thing. And as a business owner yourself, I know you're young, so you might not feel the freedom as much as I do yet.
Right.
But knowing that I didn't have to answer to anybody, it was a massive weight off my shoulders. And I still feel it to this day. Like I just even thinking about it, I'm just like, I felt shrunken. I felt like, there was somebody on my back just saying, you need to wake up. You need to come to work at 8. You need to do this. Yeah. Now I wake up earlier than I ever have, and I'm in the office earlier than I ever have.
More motivated than ever.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this then. Knowing having those experiences, and this is like with everything, like me growing up, what I see from my parents or like everybody, right? They see from somebody either what they want to be or what they don't want to be, right? I think there's only two ways of looking at that. Like if you're a kid, you want to be like your dad or you don't want to be like your dad, or you want to be like your mom, you don't want to be like your mom.
Yeah,
I think
good point.
You know what I mean? But I think there's like a middle line where you're just like, okay, I want these traits, but I don't want these traits, something like that. You being a team leader, has that kind of transition of you don't want to be that person that's on your team's back?
True. Very true.
And you've learned those lessons from the start of what you don't want to be, like what from people ahead of you before?
Yeah, I think I've never thought about it that way, but subconsciously, now that you bring it up, I think that's exactly the reason. To be like, because every time I go, because I also have a coach,
right?
And my coach reminds me of my senior vice president from LA Fitness. She does that to me. She's like, Andrew, what you hire me, these are your goals. You're not hitting your goals, so I'm kicking your ass so that you do it.
Right.
And then that like gets slightly diluted to how I treat my team, of course.
Right.
But it works through her because this is my own business. When somebody's harping on you to make them more money, screw you, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I completely agree with that, and I'm conscious of that every time I open my mouth. And I'm like, whoa, that's what the guy from LA Fitness used to say.
Right.
And I didn't like that when he used to say it. So I walk it back and be like, okay, guys, let's just discover the issues and let's find a way to overcome them.
So, Andrew, you mentioned a little bit about, like, obviously growing your Instagram. And I wanted to touch on that as well, like I mentioned off air. Let's touch on a little bit of growing your Instagram. You talked about how you went, like, you built it in that Facebook group chat.
Yep.
And that kind of transition, obviously, you grow on one platform, you'll grow on another.
Yes.
On a smaller scale, but naturally that's how social media works.
Yep.
But you have how many followers now on Instagram? 22?
I had 22 and I'm down to 21.5 or something when I checked this morning.
Well, at least you're honest.
Yeah. I lose followers all the time.
Yeah. How in the world did you grow that big on Instagram? Like,
so,
come on.
So exactly how I mentioned with the Facebook group, right? So if you go into my followers on Instagram, probably 60-70% of them are all other realtors, mortgage brokers, investors.
Really?
Yes. Wow. So how it started, with that graphic design that piece of value that I added out, I was starting to learn more and more about other aspects of marketing, video marketing, graphic design, algorithms. Although now I don't listen or just I don't care about the algorithms anymore. It's just come up with good content.
Yeah.
So that's the way it worked on Facebook. I went from 1,200 friends to 5,000 friends and tons pending, and that was why. Because goes back to, why would you do something like this? It's not to get agent-to-agent referrals. It's because I changed my life the day that I got my license.
Right.
And the day I became an entrepreneur. And so many people already are there, but they don't have the tools to get to the next step. So that's my reason is that my purpose is that fulfillment. If I can help you change your life just by teaching you this one social media tip or this one Instagram tip, this one graphic design tip, then that's enough for me.
Let me cut you off right there.
Yep,
because
go.
What you just said is super, super interesting. A lot of people on Instagram or on social media in general try to grow with an underlying message of, I want this person to give me money or something like that.
Yeah.
I find that even on a smaller scale for me, like, growing with no intention of trying to get this person as a client or trying to build a relationship with this person. That's having that as your primary goal. whether they want to build that relationship or not.
Exactly.
If that's your honest and genuine, goal.
Boom.
I feel like, and
Yep.
you're a prime example of that.
Yep.
You'll grow.
I love
it's
it.
not like you need to chase somebody.
And
for
here's
money
the
or
thing
something.
too. You go into that mindset, it'll come back to you. Might not be that day.
Right.
And that's what I get 100 messages a day on Instagram, 100 messages a day. And I'm like, in a few of them, I'm like, dude, you almost had me, but you need to structure that message like this.
Right.
And they won't get back to me. And I'm like, see, this is why you'll never be successful. Just because A, you can't take criticism.
Right.
B, you just copied and paste that to a million people.
That's the
so
problem.
so the whole point of the way I market and brand myself is that it's never a transaction. It's never, hey, follow me so that, I could sell you something eventually. It's all about, hey guys, I've got good content. If you want to follow me or not follow me, that's up to you. And what that does is that it brings the right type of people to you. So by the time realtors, buyers, sellers, by the time they get to me, they already feel they know me, and they already feel like, they're 3 steps down the road already. They say,
Right.
Andrew, I feel like I've known you forever.
Yeah.
They know my style, and that's a way of pre-qualifying people as well. So anyway, how I grew that following was putting out awesome kick-ass content that's fun to watch, but also, there's 3 ways to grow: humor, inspiration, or education. And I'm not that funny, so I really focus on inspiring people and educating people.
Right.
And I inspire them by showing them what's coming up next in trends in video marketing. And I don't necessarily say that. That's the thing. I never say it. I let my work speak for itself. Exactly. I'm also the director of recruitment for Revel. So I'm a director with the brokerage, and nobody knows it.
Right.
And nobody needs to know it until they need to switch brokerages. Then
Right,
like,
right.
hey, Andrew, can you help me out? And it's the same thing with my Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and why I'm growing so fairly quickly compared to other realtors is because you've got to let people make the decision for themselves. Just you do you, put out the content you love, and you'll attract the audience you want.
Where have you learned that? Because
I've just always done that.
Really? I'm a big Gary Vee guy. I'm reading
Yep.
the book Crushing It right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
And I bought Isaac, our audio guy, by the way, the book as well, because he needs to read it too.
Yep.
And just
Yep.
that posting content, there's never any bad content. It's just what people want to
Yes.
see, and you attract the audience that you want.
Correct.
Have-
So I agree with that.
Right.
And again, there's no right or wrong answer, but in my personal experience, posting whatever you want as many times as you want is a good way to hurt your growth, in my opinion.
Explain why you
However,
think that.
well, it's just because although I post when I get inspired by something, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good picture. I'm going to post it. Oh yeah, we had a really good time on the podcast. I'm going to post that picture.
Right.
So that's different than just saying, I need to post something. I need to post something. People can see that. I can see through it, man. Like you're telling me you just took a picture like this to give me some type of market stat or update or new, like what?
So, like,
you're
forced
trying
content.
You're trying way too hard, dude. No force I've done that a couple of times,
Right.
and it's just I've got a larger audience, so it was really hard. But from the back end, you can see that it doesn't do well. People can see through it.
Right.
People can see
That's
through it.
very interesting. I actually, because I do work with a fair bit of realtors in the video realm, and like even more so, I would say that my business is built around like personal brand building, not so much like just going and shooting a listing. So I kind of see that that starting attitude of like I need to force myself to post content.
Yes.
I've always kind of thought to myself, well, why do you have to force yourself?
Yes.
You should want to. If you
Correct.
don't want to,
And-
then maybe this isn't the way you should be marketing.
I love that, and it's true. And because other people in the real estate coaches, you got to understand real estate coaches. Some of them, my coach is fucking amazing. She's
Right,
super
right.
smart, but she's not a realtor. Right? So it's
Really?
different. Some realtors, like, they do well in their first couple of years and they transition into coaching. And it's like, yeah, man. Anyways, do your thing. I don't put anybody down, but I'm just saying the problem with that is that they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So they're telling people, like, just, this is the thing. You should be on video so your audience knows you.
Yes.
But if you're not good at video, then don't do video. Do your story video, like, hey, just with my family, I had a great dinner.
Yep.
Shout out
Yep.
to 416 Coffee Co. That's fine. That's easy to do. You're just right. But you put them in a professional setting, like, hi, my name's Andrea. This is 717 Johnston Road. Like, if you're not good, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying
Like,
don't. If you
don't
want,
force yourself.
if you want to do it, then do it. Get out there, practice, and do it. But however, if you don't feel comfortable doing those professional style videos, leave it out.
Now,
And just practice with your stories.
Is practice with your stories.
Correct.
That what you just said.
Absolutely.
That is, I'm going to preach that now because that's so true. Is practice with stories.
I always practice content on my stories.
Yeah.
See what kicks up.
It's a good way. It's a good way to practice. It's not there permanently, but it's out there. You're feeling motivated to get it out there.
And you'd be surprised how many people actually fully watch your stories. Because I barely go into the timeline anymore at all. So more people are going to see it, and more people are going to start understanding you better from a personal side. Because in the realm of, Google and, super niches, people are searching very specific things, right? So if your business message and brand fits under that niche, you have a better opportunity at converting them.
Right.
That if you can, get some type of dialogue going through your social media, and they could feel like they've met you before. So what I'm trying to say is that don't put yourself out there if it doesn't work. However, people are going to trust you more if they feel they know you more, and they're going to know you more or better by the fact that you're on camera speaking.
I've always said it, videos sell, and I kind of use this in my marketing techniques, is videos sell the realtor, photos sell the home.
Exactly.
You cannot argue with that. Like,
I agree.
What are you going to take a picture inside the home and put on MLS?
Yeah.
Like this? No, you're going to make a video and you're going to post it on, YouTube and this kind of stuff,
So
right?
Don't get me wrong, everybody. Try it and get out there and do your best at it, because it will improve your business.
Now, what if somebody genuinely, like, before I ask you the last question, what if somebody genuinely doesn't want to be on video? Are there other ways that you would encourage them to market, or are you just going to say, suck it up and do it?
Well, again, other than, if they absolutely do not want to be on stories, then don't do it. If you're not uncomfortable, there's other ways.
Okay.
You can tell stories with photos. You can do that.
That's true.
On Instagram.
Yep.
People can and will get to know you if you're open enough. You need to be a little bit more vulnerable if you're just posting photos then.
Open up.
Yeah, don't be afraid. That's another thing too. People are buying your brand now. They're not like your brand messaging. Right. They're not buying your brokerage brand, right? So they're not hiring you because you work for Remax and you're President's Gold at Royal LePage or whatever. They're hiring you because they found you on social media. They know that, okay, you're obviously doing well because your stats are proving it. Your marketing is proving it. But they're buying from you because they mesh well with your personality.
Right.
People forget that your personality trumps everything, especially in 2021. Mm-hmm. That's why, I use my team page for like just sold, like my business card, I call it. And I use my personal page as to show my success, to show my family, and then I use my stories to get to know me a little bit better.
So you almost have different avenues for each.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
If some blends well with everything, and I post it to everything, but some is designed specifically, not necessarily intentionally, but the way the content actually comes to me when it's finished is that, okay, this is a good gallery, this is a good reel, this is a good IGTV, and that's a good story. So it's all different framing, different content. But as I said, if you are afraid to get on video, I would encourage you to learn and just get over it.
Yeah.
But all in all, if you're really struggling with it, just start to tell stories in other ways, mainly using photos.
Thank you, Andrew. That is very well said.
Yeah.
I want to ask you one more question
let's hit it.
before we end the podcast today.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are actually curious, and some find it hard to answer this question. Some don't. Let's see how you react to it. Where do you see Andrew Perrie in 10 years? In 10 years, generally, it could be business, family, whatever.
Now that you mentioned family, I'm gonna look like a jerk, but
well, we can stick to business.
No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. My goals for the business are very clear.
Yes,
and nothing's gonna stop me. So, and that's including family. And obviously, my family is over business.
The top.
However, but we have a really good support system at home. We have a really good communication. My family knows my goals, and she knows how I feel about life. We have one life. You got to utilize it all.
Yep.
However, it's not about chasing the paper or anything like that. But anyways, business goals is in 10 years with one line is to become the Canadian Ryan Serhant. In one way, that's just how that gives you a really, really good idea. If you wanted to break it down, I want to replicate my business, the Fine Estates team with Revel Realty, in multiple different markets. So by 10 years, I should have at least 5 different locations or more in Ontario.
That you are managing?
Correct. When I come to that point, I won't be managing it. Right?
Overseeing more so.
Correct. And then from there, maybe a couple others in different provinces or maybe open up in the States.
Gotcha.
So from there, it's very, very clear. I want to replicate my business and grow it at a minimum of 30%. So by those metrics, I should be very, very close to 5 or 6 different offices by then. And in terms of family, I just want to maintain, it's something you're going to learn. You got to, hit the ground and hustle hard for your first few years. But now I'm home at, 4 o'clock every day. I take Saturdays and Sundays off.
Yep.
I put my kids to bed every night. I wake up and I see them every morning before I go. So I value family time. We hang out at the pool. We just bought a cottage. So I want to maintain that relationship with my family while supporting my kids' goals, because my goals are going to change from a personal level as my kids start to grow, right? Hudson's in soccer now. In the winter, he's going to be back to hockey. When Cade's a little older, he's going to be doing things like that, right? So I want my personal goals to align with theirs and do everything I can to support them. Yeah.
And you're going to be dealing with the teenagers by then, will you? Is that...
Hudson would be in 10 years. He'll be 15.
Right.
Oh, that's crazy, man. Life goes by so fast. And if they're anything like me, like he already was basically a replica of me at that age, and that's scary to think about. If I know what's coming next, that's scary, man.
Well, Andrew, you got to take off, but we got so much covered today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Super thrilled that we had our first guest, Andrew Perrie. Just absolute pleasure. Thank you so much again for coming out. You can listen to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We've live streamed it on Instagram as well. It's going to be on YouTube. We're going to edit a YouTube video for you guys, around 20-30 minutes. But I mean, everything we talked about today was golden, so you're probably going to want to listen to all of it. So with that, I say thank you for listening to Meeting Gold. We have a bunch more podcasts coming up, so stay tuned, guys. Andrew, why don't you say a little farewell to the camera?
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. And if you got this far, we really appreciate it. Everybody always asks me, how can you contact me? Just Instagram A Perrie. That's my go-to. You'll find the rest of the information from there.
You search up A and it's up.
Stop by our office on 4 Mile Creek in Niagara on the Lake and have a coffee with me.
Maybe Andrew will give you 416 coffee.
Let's chat. Would love to do that.
Or you'll spoil them with that what is that espresso machine there?
Oh yeah. You're actually you're not allowed to have that machine in anything other than like a restaurant.
Really?
Yeah. So we've got some mad hookups.
Well,
thanks, guys.
We're gonna end the podcast today. So thank you so much. Let's fade it out, guys.